Karoline Leavitt. The left pretends to be a champion of women until they find one who is a conservative. Once that happens, they love nothing more than tearing down women with the most petty and vacuous of insults.
Whoopi Goldberg is once again at the center of controversy after her latest remarks about wokeness, but this time, she found herself up against someone who wasn't afraid to challenge her narrative.
Maybe have been open to her.
No, I understand. I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah.
And the abuse continued.
I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
Yeah.
Because women were not invited to that table. Women were not invited to many tables in this nation. The reason we fought and busted our behinds to make sure that you didn't have to worry about this. And now to hear you talk about it and to hear anybody talk about the wokeness was put in place for a reason.
Attacking a woman for her looks or age isn't very progressive.
Karoline Leavitt, a rising conservative voice, took direct aim at Whoopi's comments, exposing the contradictions and hypocrisy behind The View's take on wokeness.
And I would just say a strong message who are out there pretending to be outraged about the long list of crap that this administration is cutting, federal waste and funding, like $2 million for sex changes in Guatemala, $6 million to fund tourism in Egypt, $20 million on a new Sesame Street show in Iraq, $4.5 million to combat disinformation in Kazakhstan. I could go on, and I'm happy to provide this list to every single one of you.
In a debate that quickly escalated beyond a simple disagreement, Leavitt didn't just defend her position. She turned the tables on Whoopi and The View's panel, forcing them to reckon with the flaws in their own argument.
While I vow to provide the truth from this podium, we ask that all of you in this room hold yourselves to that same standard. We know for a fact there have been lies that have been pushed by many legacy media outlets in this country about this president, about his family, and we will not accept that. We will call you out when we feel that your reporting is wrong.
What started as a routine segment quickly became one of the most heated exchanges in recent television history. Today, we're breaking down exactly what happened, why it matters, and how this debate reflects a growing cultural divide.
Whoopi Goldberg chimed in too, suggesting Leavitt only got her job because of wokeness.
Yeah. I would like this young lady this is her first job, I would like her to do a little homework. Because she said something yesterday that really pissed me off. And that was, she said, there will be no wokeness here.
Oh, yeah.
Let me explain something to you. Because without that wokeness, you might not have that job.
During a discussion about the role of wokeness in modern politics, Whoopi Goldberg passionately defended the concept, claiming that wokeness was responsible for societal progress. According to Whoopi, the push for diversity, equity, and inclusion had brought about positive change, and those who opposed it were simply resisting necessary social evolution. She dismissed conservative criticisms of wokeness as fear-mongering, arguing that those who challenged the ideology were uncomfortable with progress and afraid of change.
I will say it's very easy to speak truth from this podium when you have a president who is implementing policies that are wildly popular with the American people, and that's exactly what this administration is doing. It's correcting the lies and the wrongs of the past 4 years, many of the lies that have been told to your faces in this very briefing room. I will not do that.
However, it didn't take long for Karoline Leavitt to step in and push back. Rather than simply disagreeing, Leavitt deconstructed the very foundation of Whoopi's argument, exposing the contradictions in The View's portrayal of wokeness and the selective application of their so-called inclusive principles.
And I'm so sick and tired of the media pointing the finger at Donald Trump and saying that he is sowing division in this country. He is not. The media is for pushing hoaxes like the one that you all pushed today, and the Democrat Party is for pushing lies about him. But the good news is Americans don't buy it. The sentiment that President Trump is a democracy. And if you're a deranged lunatic and you're mentally ill, you will believe that lie, and yes, you will take political
Leavitt responded by pointing out that wokeness has become more than just a push for social progress. It has turned into a tool used to silence opposing viewpoints. She argued that wokeness, rather than uniting people, had created more division, forcing ideological conformity, and punishing those who dared to question its principles. Leavitt cited examples of individuals who had faced backlash for speaking out against wokeness, including those in media, education, and corporate America who had lost opportunities simply because their views didn't align with the prevailing woke narrative. She also called out the hypocrisy of the Views panel, particularly Whoopi, who claims to champion open discussion while simultaneously shutting down conservative voices. Leavitt pointed to the numerous times conservative women had been dismissed, interrupted, or outright insulted on the show, questioning whether The View truly supported diversity of thought or just diversity that fit within their ideological framework. She pressed further, highlighting how wokeness had been used to justify censorship and exclusion rather than true inclusivity.
Of the 3,500 arrests ICE has made so far since President Trump came back into office, can you just tell us the numbers? How many have a criminal record versus those who are just in the country illegally?
All of them, because they illegally broke our nation's laws and therefore they are criminals as far as this administration goes. I know the last administration didn't see it that way, so it's a big culture shift in our nation to view someone who breaks our immigration laws as a criminal, but that's exactly what they are. I would like to point out to each and every one of you that in 2024, when Joe Biden was in the Oval Office, or upstairs in the residence sleeping, I'm not so sure, egg prices increased 65% in this country.
Whoopi, visibly frustrated, attempted to defend her stance by arguing that wokeness was about inclusivity and ensuring equal opportunities for all. She claimed that conservatives like Leavitt were misrepresenting wokeness, portraying it as something oppressive, when in reality, it was about righting historical wrongs and bringing fairness into the system. But Leavitt wasn't about to let that go unchallenged. She doubled down, asking Whoopi how attacking conservative women for their beliefs fit into the idea of inclusivity. If wokeness was truly about embracing diverse perspectives, why were conservative women so often the targets of mockery and disdain? Why were their credentials questioned, while progressive women were automatically championed as role models? Leavitt highlighted how the selective application of wokeness created an unfair standard where only certain voices were elevated while others were silenced. At this point, the tension on set was palpable. Whoopi, struggling to maintain control of the conversation, attempted to pivot the discussion away from the criticisms Leavitt raised, but it was too late. The damage had been done, and the audience could see the cracks in the View's argument. Leavitt had made her point loud and clear, and Whoopi's attempts to shift the narrative only underscored the flaws in her position. The moment quickly went viral, with clips circulating across social media platforms. Viewers from all political backgrounds weighed in, many agreeing that Whoopi's defense of wokeness had been effectively dismantled. Even those who didn't necessarily align with Leavitt's conservative stance admitted that she had made valid points about the inconsistencies in The View's messaging. Critics of The View argued that the show had long been a platform for pushing one-sided narratives while shutting down dissenting voices. This latest exchange only reinforced that perception. Instead of fostering a genuine discussion, Whoopi and her co-hosts had attempted to dismiss Leavitt's concerns without properly addressing them, exposing their unwillingness to engage in real debate. The backlash was swift, with many calling for The View to reevaluate how it engages with guests who hold differing opinions. But this wasn't just about one television debate. It was about a broader cultural shift. Wokeness, once seen as a movement for positive change, had morphed into something much more polarizing. Rather than encouraging meaningful conversations, it had created an environment where disagreement was met with hostility, where people were afraid to speak their minds for fear of being labeled intolerant or regressive. Leavitt's exchange with Whoopi highlighted a growing frustration among many Americans who feel that the definition of progress has been twisted into a demand for ideological conformity. The backlash against The View wasn't just about Whoopi's comments, it was a reflection of a larger debate taking place in the country about free speech, inclusivity, and what it truly means to support diversity. Many believe that media outlets have a responsibility to facilitate open discussions rather than reinforcing narrow ideological viewpoints. At the end of the day, Karoline Leavitt's appearance on The View didn't just expose the flaws in Whoopi Goldberg's defense of wokeness. It sparked a larger conversation about the state of political discourse in America. Are we truly encouraging open discussions, or are we shutting down those who dare to think differently? This debate is far from over. And as more voices continue to challenge the dominant narratives, it's clear that the fight for ideological balance in media is only just beginning. What do you think? Did Leavitt successfully expose the contradictions in The View's stance on wokeness, or do you believe Whoopi Goldberg had a point? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more updates on the latest political and media controversies.